Gather close friends and listen to an old story, one that began long before scholars named it narcissism. The ancient scrolls called it simply pride, and they spoke of it with a sharpness that cuts to the bone. Picture a heart that has quietly declared itself the center of all things, not out of loud boasting, but in silent decree. My feelings are the measure of what is true. My reputation must be shielded like treasure. Everyone else? They are here to echo me, to lift me, to reflect my light, or they are in the way. This is the old sin called self-exaltation, the self climbing onto a throne that was never meant for it. The wise ones warned us plainly. Pride walks ahead of ruin, and a haughty spirit strides before a crash. It's more than a saying, it's a map of the soul. When you place yourself at the very center, the world begins to feel like an enemy. A word of correction lands like a blow. A boundary feels like abandonment. Another's joy, it dims your own. So the heart builds defenses, walls, watchtowers, endless vigilance, lest anything shake the fragile throne. Now step back to the very dawn of humanity, to a field where two brothers stood before God. Cain brought the fruit of his labor. Abel brought the best of his flock. Fire fell from heaven on Abel's offering, accepting it in light and favor. But Cain's, it lay cold, unanswered. In that moment, Cain could have looked inward. He could have asked, "What must I change?" Instead, a storm rose inside him, wounded pride, refusing any place but first. God himself came near, speaking softly but urgently. Sin is crouching at your door. It longs to master you, but you must master it. Cain did not master it. Shame burned, and he turned that fire outward. He lured his brother to the field, and there, in rage, he struck him down, the one whose goodness had held up a mirror to his own lack. From that day, the pattern was set. When the ego feels exposed, it destroys the mirror rather than face the reflection. And so pride sows conflict wherever it takes root. It turns every encounter into a contest, not what is right, but who appears greater. Not the pursuit of truth, but the chase for applause. Not healing, but winning. Yet the same ancient words offer a different path. Not self-hatred, not endless flogging of the soul, but humility. Humility does not erase your worth. It simply refuses to crown the self as ruler of the cosmos. There was one who lived this path perfectly. He taught, serve instead of demanding service. Forgive those who wound you, rather than repay hurt with hurt. Love your neighbor with the same care you give yourself. Seek out the forgotten, the small, the overlooked. And then came the night that showed it clearest. The teacher, the one with every right to be worshipped, took a basin of water and a towel. He knelt before his friends, the rough fisherman, the doubter, the betrayer, and washed their dusty, road-worn feet. The king became the servant. The throne was left empty. Love took its place. This is the quiet revolution. But here is the part that humbles us most. Pride is not some rare monster locked away in the worst of us. It is a shadow that walks beside every heart, a temptation as common as breath. It rarely arrives with trumpets. It slips in wearing familiar clothes. The quiet insistence on being right, the need to speak last, the hunger to be seen as essential, unmatched, superior. The danger is not only seeing it in others, it is missing it in the mirror. How easily we build our own little thrones. How subtly the center shifts until everything warps around us. Yet the way back is not grander crowns or stronger defenses. It is the small, defiant choice to step down, to kneel instead of reign, to choose the towel over the throne, to let the true center be restored. Because in the end, when the self steps aside, the world rights itself. Relationships mend. Reality breathes again. and we find at last a peace that no throne could ever give. That is the old story, and it is still being told in every heart today. Will we listen?